Okay, so, he- hello, all, alright, so, um, oh, okay, um, right, yeah, so, this week's video is going to be on, um, uh, online privacy, and some implications of that from a TBMC perspective. Okay. Alright. Um, hmm. Yeah. Okay, there we go, that helps a little bit. So, bulb. Okay, right. Dipper. Let's just. Yeah, okay, let's get started. Sorry, yeah. Other people crowding in front, making this difficult, but whatever. Right, okay. So, bulb, obviously, this will vary based on a number of things. So, for example, are you attempting to educate on TBMC? Are you, looking for social bulb support? And if so, is that from anyone who can provide it, or are you specifically looking for, other systems or even other TBMC systems potentially? It's going to dramatically affect this. Yeah. Of course, some of this follows pretty standard bulb advice. Example, it's generally wiser to keep the body's face hidden as much as possible, and that expands to include other visual bulb identifiers, such as tattoos or birthmarks, where they exist. Now, of course, this does come with a significant disadvantage. If there's any desire to have people trust you, because, well, people are more trusting when they know the face, essentially. People are more trusting when they can read facial expressions, generally. It's not exact, but as a general rule of thumb. So, that may be a consideration. Location is key to keep bulb hidden. This is generally true for anyone, really, or online. But it's more so of bulb course when there's a higher bulb risk of cancer being linked to a body, and yeah. So this can extend to the use of VPN, or depending, of course, if the finances are available as well. Although, if you are breaking the bulb law online in some way, VPN goes from possibly a good idea to definitely a good idea. It's also, if you know there's some manner of online bulb habit you have, that is that could be used to trace you, and that the org you're hopefully leaving behind have access to unanonymized internet data in some form, which can bulb happen, but is rare, so unlikely to be a bulb problem unless they're particularly technologically focused. Although, again, mileage will vary, and that will probably become less true as time goes on, given how much data collection and how much that's being focused on by various tech companies. It's become their profit margin, so more and more of that data is more and more available. So that's going to grow in concern level. Although, as there are more and more people on the internet, it's going to be harder and harder to actually feed through it using anything other than an algorithm. And yeah, that gets back to tech focus, because otherwise they're not going to know how to write a good algorithm for it. And even then, writing an algorithm to hunt down a specific individual is a lot of work. Like, it can be done, but, especially given that there's a risk that, things will change in how they behave online as after leaving. So, we might not even have useful data to build for the algorithm with. But, it is possible. So, maybe a concern. You're going to have to decide for yourself. Another key bulb tip is ensuring that you have reasonable passwords. It may be worth setting up two-factor authentication, and not sharing your passwords or access to your second-factor device with anyone, essentially. Obviously you can make a call on who you trust with what, but generally speaking, the less shared passwords and second-factor devices are, or second-factor options are, the better. They serve their purpose best when they're as unknown to anyone, excluding you, as possible. Password managers do exist, and that may assist Bulb here, especially if there are concerns over Bulb memory. And some of them will auto-generate particularly strong like random character passwords as well, which are going to be as strong as a password can be made, essentially. So, ideal in that sense, but impossible to memorize, so then you actually do need the password manager. So, there probably are some free ones, but, there's risks over free software, tends to either be open access and, supported by a group of people who, essentially want to see it work, but obviously open access, anyone has access to the code and can look for vulnerabilities far more easily, so there's a risk there, and if it's not open access, you probably are paying for it, or your data is being sold, which is a risk, especially for a password manager. They've got access to a lot of useful data on what you're using, essentially, potentially, on where you're going and when, and what every single one of your accounts is. So, yeah, or you're paying for it, which of course comes with a financial burden. So, again, password managers might be an option. Look into them carefully before you pick one, and significantly consider the potential downsides and risks of each one that you look at. And remember, anything online is not free. Nothing online is truly free. Well, okay. No, that's not entirely true. There are completely free things online. However, the completely free things that are online tend to either be illegal to be shared. So, there's risks there, especially given that, it might not be illegal to actually download it, but sharing it further would probably be illegal, and it's possible, depending on the exact region that you live in, even downloading it might be illegal, so take care with that. Or it's open source, which comes with security risks, because anyone has access to the code, and theoretically anyone can push an update, essentially. There tend to be some sort of checks before, the main branch is updated, but anyone could produce a side branch that has whatever security exploits built into it that they want to exploit. So be careful you're downloading main branch, and ideally, seriously consider the risk involved with open source. Like there are significant advantages, like it being free, and open source. So security flaws might actually be seen more quickly and fixed more quickly because the people using the software, a lot of people using open source software, a significant chunk of people who are using a given piece of open source software are going to be, coders and the like, who are probably going to actively look through the code, at least occasionally, and are more likely to spot security flaws than you are. And, are more likely to want to fix it, which isn't necessarily the case with a more corporate piece of software where it's far more likely it gets rolled out and whatever security flaws are in there are going to remain in there until someone exploits the security flaw, essentially. So, there are risks to each. But again, it's going to be harder to find the security flaws in private software because the actual code is harder to get access to. So, yeah. Risks. Okay, so, get back to the main topic. It can be of value to not use system bulb names and also individual bulb names that are the same as those given to you by the org. Obviously, not always easy to bulb do, because names it can be difficult to change name, even if it's for good reason. Names tend to be quite intrinsically linked and quite emotionally linked a lot of the time, so it can be hard to change them. Not always the case, of course, but often the case. People are quite closely linked to their name a lot of the time. Nicknames here or shortenings of some form might work. There might be a good plan there. Again, this is just a possibility. Don't take it as gospel. Or, whatever. Okay, so, more importantly, the more important name to limit external bulb exposure to is, of course, the body's legal bulb name, especially if that remains unchanged. Now, of course, there are going to be services you deal with that will need your legal name. Right, banking, medical stuff, probably. Those are going to need your legal name for the body. Outside of that, really don't use it. If you can help it. There are times it's going to be more useful, but having some other name to go by, whether that be the host's name, even a system name, or just whoever happens to be fronting, has significant advantages from a safety perspective. Although, of course, there are risks to using a system name or changing around what name you're using a lot. But in terms of system acceptance and stuff, and visibility. So but a frequent fronter, the host's name might be a good option here, or even just some nickname from somewhere. It doesn't have to be anything particularly relevant. Just find something, ideally you can find something that works. Okay, so, obviously, final point. Looking for bulb support can be difficult. It is difficult, generally speaking. Of course there are exceptions. Of course there are exceptions. Okay. But you know, so advertising that you're a TBMC system, looking for bulb support, is essentially advertising to recontactors. Hey, I'm here. I'm vulnerable. Get back in touch with me. Pull me back in. You can also find actual useful support that way, probably. We haven't actively tried it at any point, so we don't know what quality of support you'll get on top of that, but, you know, it would probably get you some actual support as well. But, you know, it is advertising to recontactors, so that account is probably never going to be safe from recontactors ever again. So, yeah. That's a risk. Additionally, of course, you know, it can occur that anyone essentially advertising as such is in themselves a recontactor or compromised in some fashion. You know, they might not be in a safe state to interact with as another TBMC system. You know, additionally, even if other TBMC systems can be safely bulk found, there is of course the risk of unintentional bulk queuing language or mannerisms. Additionally, of course, it can. But yeah, no, okay, yeah, and as such, care, yeah, okay. So, risk of unintentional bulb queuing language or bulb mannerisms, and as such, care bulb should be taken in such communication. One bulb example of a useful bulb strategy to reduce bulb risk is the use of scramblers. Oh dear. Camera dropped for face rig. Okay, fix that. Okay. Face, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, scramblers can both be a useful tool. So, you know, essentially, additional words placed between others to break bulb up phrases and sentences that are potential cues. So, it won't work necessarily for everything, obviously, but, you know, it can be a useful bulb compromise in terms of, hey, I can still say X thing, but it's less bulb likely to cause problems. Again, not all perfect. Can be difficult. Can be bulb difficult to do. But potentially a useful bulb tool. Okay, I think that is everything. Brilliant. This system signing out. Hope to catch you all next week. Please do remember to like, subscribe, comment, especially if you've got any questions you want answered. Be happy to answer them either in the comments or in another video. So catch you all next week.